Hi everybody, welcome back. Let's talk about analysis paralysis, what it is and what you can do to overcome it. So what is analysis paralysis? Analysis paralysis is essentially the inability to make a decision. That's basically what it comes down to. It could be a small decision like what to have for dinner or when to mow the lawn. It could be a big decision like where to move in the country or what job to take or who to marry. Any kind of decision can be hampered by analysis paralysis. The paralysis part is really not so much being unable to move as much as it is overthinking, overanalyzing. It's thinking too much. When it comes down to it, it's really, in a way, trying to look into a crystal ball and see the future, trying to extract some sort of prediction of the outcome, extract some sort of certainty out of what is naturally going to be uncertain. It's running tapes and scenarios over and over in your head and being unable to stop them. I have a quote that I like to say, if fear of failure is the mother of procrastination, then perfectionism is the father. Because analysis paralysis, really when it comes down to it, is just procrastination. It's just putting off the inevitable. And by putting it off, you're trying to establish in this overanalyzing some level of perfectionism in the decision itself. A lot of people think that they're being smart and they're being diligent and they're being responsible by analyzing to death some sort of decision, when in fact what they're really doing is they're just procrastinating. They're just actually not working really hard. They're actually doing nothing. People equate working hard with working on the problem, when actually it's not. You can do a certain amount of analyzing, and that's smart in any kind of decision, but when it takes over, when it becomes a hamster wheel, when it becomes kind of a treadmill that you can't get off, that's where the problem arises. And often, doing nothing is worse than doing something. Meaning, there are lots of decisions that you can make in your life that, if you don't make them on time, it can be really bad. Like, let's take healthcare. If you have a job and you have to choose your healthcare in the open enrollment season in the fall, you have to make that decision in a very timely manner. And if you don't, that's bad. You might not get the healthcare that you need. Or if you're in class or college and you're signing up for classes, you have a certain date that you have to enroll by. And if you don't, you're going to miss out on those classes. So a lot of times not making a decision or procrastinating too much or analyzing too much can lead to a bad situation. Now, I know what happens when you get caught in analysis paralysis. You start to worry. You're worrying about, what if X happens? What if this terrible thing happens when I make this decision? Well, I have a trick that I use, and it's to think through that decision to the absolute worst outcome. By thinking it through to the worst outcome and playing it through to the absolute end, a lot of times you'll find out that the bad scenario of making a bad decision is never usually as bad as you think it is. You may, think it through all the way to the end. Are you going to lose your job? Are you going to lose your house? Is your bank account going to be zero? Are you going to get thrown out of school? Are you going to, be fired or lose that client? A lot of times, the worst case scenario is never that bad. So how can you overcome analysis paralysis? Eckhart Tolle, who wrote a book called The Power of Now, a very famous book, it's been translated into 50 languages. I recommend you read it if you haven't. He has a quote that says, "You must think of overanalysis as an addiction." And really, when it comes down to it, if you think about overanalysis and overthinking like an addiction, you'll find that they're very similar. One is a repetitive process that you can't seem to stop that has detrimental effects on your life. And analysis paralysis really fits that description. So he recommends controlled thinking, really trying to stay in the present moment in your life and not project it way out into the future and future scenarios, or think way too much about the past and what's happened in the past around past decisions. Stay in the present moment. Think about and take in as much data and information that you can to inform the decision, and then just make the decision. One thing I find that's really helpful is to put a deadline on the decision, just like open enrollment or signing up for classes. Put a deadline, an arbitrary deadline, on when you are going to take in all the information and when you're going to make that decision, before that decision might become a problem. It really helps you take action and helps you be finite and get started and move forward in your life than becoming paralyzed. And remember, a lot of times doing something is better than doing nothing. And you want to just start. You want to just make a decision and start and build, and then you can adjust. No decision out there is totally perfect. No scenario is going to be able to predict the future accurately. You just want to make the decision and move forward in your life. Very few decisions are absolutely final. A lot of them can be made and adjusted and accounted for and moved and evolved over time. I like to think of decisions as MVPs, and I think I talk about MVPs a lot on my channel. MVP stands for minimum viable product. A decision can very much be like a minimum viable product. It can be a first step in a process. You make the decision and then you might need to adjust or change course over time. Like I said, most decisions aren't absolutely final, and after you make them, many times there's a chance to adjust or move or grow or evolve that decision over time. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video on analysis paralysis, and if you did, please hit subscribe below so you can see my videos when they come out, and make sure to hit that notifications bell so you can get an email when I post a video or when I go live. And visit me at philipvandusen.com if you need help with your brand or your brand strategy. Reach out to me and let's see what we can do to take it to the next level. And with that, thanks again for watching. Bye for now.